I feel it. They're close. They're really close. I feel like a caller said last week, the Giants they're just getting close here. All right, so Bowen got fired. There you have it. Everybody happy now? We expect things to change here. He needed to be fired. Does it really matter if it happens now? If it happens at the end of the year, Shane Bowen out as Giants defensive coordinator.
Doesn't matter. I mean, it's something we have to obviously talk about here, and it's like bad bullpens in baseball. The inability to hold leads in football. Like, we're kind of used to losing around here, but losing the manner in which the Giants have lost this year is just about as maddening and as perplexing and as infuriating as it gets. It's just, and again, I've said this a million times, not trying to sound insensitive, but the fact that Shane Bowen was let in the building a month ago it just didn't add up to me. I don't know why it's, now I know what they said, that Kafka didn't really have great familiarity with the defensive staff. He wanted to get in the building, get a sense of what was what, and then if he did obviously want to make a move, he would have a better sense who to elevate. So that's fine, all the logistics and dotting the I's, but what an awful chapter in Giants football.
But think about it this way. Did anybody really think, and I know everybody was yelling for Bowen to be fired for weeks, probably since, week 2? So
the Cowboys game in? I mean, maybe last year a little bit. Last year, Sal, fair enough. If you think about it.
We know everybody wanted Bowen out. Did anybody really think that he was going to be the defensive coordinator start next year?
Not a person.
Okay, so then
person.
So what's the difference? What, you think it gives you a better chance to beat the Patriots on Monday Night Football? And even to that, I would say, so what? So who cares? I mean, outside of Kafka and evaluating him, and for the record, I think Kafka's done a nice job so far in these first 2 games. I think he's got potential to be a head coach somewhere. I still wouldn't make it here just because I think everybody needs to go. But now the bullseye is going to be, to me, clearly on Joe Schoen, and that's still something that's TBD. The initial release from Mara when they fired Dable weeks ago was making it sound like Shane's going to lead the head coaching search, and he's going to be here beyond next year. Then there were conflicting reports saying not so fast. So maybe that's the last thing to evaluate here. Outside of the one thing I want to see is Kafka with Dart, not Kafka with Jameis Winston. But even then, okay, Bowen got fired. Big deal. He was not going to be here beyond next year. This move does not impact the Giants any way, shape, or form because they were firing him anyway at the end of the year, and the remaining 5 games doesn't mean squat.
This is for the fans. I mean, that's really what it is, because there's when this happens repeatedly, and that's why I gave you the example of bullpens. Think of Armando Benitez, those situations where you just can't. You can't have it as it's unacceptable as a fan to lose in certain ways. I mean, it's generally unacceptable to lose all the time anyway, but there's certain styles, if you will, of losing that are just untenable. And to me, the Giants, you're right. I mean, he was going to be back next year no matter what. If they have, if they had a different DC this year, do they choke away 5 fourth-quarter leads? Maybe not. Maybe there's a little bit of a shift in how he deploys the players that he's got. It doesn't matter. All right, you can't get the wins back. You can't unpack the losses. But this is a move. As sad as it is, it's not going to really change anything. This is really, and we've heard this expression quite a bit, this is just throwing a little meat to the fans, a little meat to the masses. That's truly what I believe that's it. Because this will do nothing for the season. This will do nothing for the roster. This is just to placate distraught, miserable, angry fans, and I get why they feel that way.
You don't think it's Kafka trying to just forget what happened prior and him looking at his 7 games as okay, I'm going to be the head coach of this team for the next 7 games, feel it out for the first 2. I can't have this anymore with Bowen. We're moving on from him. Now let me try to clean things up for the final 5. If the Giants organization was trying to give the fans a bone, throw them a bone here, they would have fired Bowen weeks ago. So to me, maybe it was a Kafka thing and just saying, hey, we got to move on. We can't have this continuing here with our offense doing their job. I mean, the offense scoring 27 points with Jameis Winston is a pretty good thing.
Every week the offense shows up. I mean, it really is amazing. And I heard people talking about this. Where was it last night? Somewhere, maybe, it wasn't ESPN. Either way, it was some former players talking about the Giants. And, obviously our focus on Joe Schoen. And, of course, before that, when Dable finally got fired, and, of course, now the DC is gone. I didn't really... And I'm still not going to subscribe to this because I do think that Joe Schoen should be gone. But when they have beaten a couple of good teams and they have come out and they've been highly competitive against a couple of teams that have talent. So I'm asking the question, really, forget about the DC for a moment, even though that's the story today. Bigger picture. is the Giants' talent actually better than we think? I mean, we keep sitting here saying, oh, Joe Schoen hasn't done anything, but there is something, to what extent, I don't know, we could flush through it, but there's something to be said for coming out and from the opening kick and really for 85% of almost every single game being in a position to look pretty good teams in the eyes and not get blown out. We know a bad team.
Right.
When we see a bad team, you look up, it's 20-3, you can't get a first down, you're in the air or on the ground, 13 penalties, fumbles. Like, the Giants have actually looked fairly sharp for a while.
But BT, they're 2-10. They're the first team eliminated again.
I know they are. I'm not making a case for their talent to be overflowing. I'm just saying, are we being fully fair in the evaluation of whatever talent, not the record, the talent, because that's what goes to Shane.
I think so. I think they stink. I think everybody there stinks. I don't think they know how to win football games. So
I mean,
and part of what you're saying is why Joe Schoen is still here, and yet they keep losing games. So they got rid of the head coach saying he's not coaching our talent up to the level that it needs to be, and yet they continue to lose football games.
Okay.
And they continue to lose football games in a similar fashion. So I don't want to hear it. Now, I'm not disagreeing that it's better than what we saw. Yeah, but you're talking about comparing them to the Jets or Giants, who were the worst teams in football and non-competitive and couldn't score any points. So there's a big gap in between a good football team and where the Giants were to where they are now. I think that they're not the worst team in the league as far as can't even watch them. They have no talent. They can't move the football. Now they're actually scoring some points, which makes it okay. Now they're just on par with the other bad teams in the league, but they continue to find ways to lose. The record is what it is. Even if you give them 2 more games, as we talked about, that's still nowhere. 4-8 is not. That's an awful record.
I get it. I'm not even saying that I'm not a little bit with you. I'm more with you than not.
Right.
I'm just throwing the conversation out there because that is the last remaining issue for the New York Giants, okay? See, what happened yesterday, and this was, even if they would have won, it would have been, in a lot of ways, empty. Now, I'm sure some Giant fans would have really enjoyed it. I'm sure some Giants fans would have been like, I don't want to win, because that means the GM might come back. That's going to compromise draft picks, all those things that fans juggle during bad seasons where you're looking at the end result here. But if they would have won, all right, it was fun. Jameis made some sick plays, and Kafka was aggressive. But Kafka's probably not the coach next year. Winston's not the starting quarterback. So, to me, those are the most hollow, empty wins. All I'm saying is, and I'm not even, and I would if I felt it, I'm not even pushing back that much. All I'm saying is, when you beat a couple of good teams and you come out in the first quarter and the second quarter and the third quarter, you're staring eye to eye. A lot of times on the road as well with good teams or really good teams or slightly below. Like, I don't. They've confused me this year is really what I'm saying. Like, I can't prove this. If they had whatever coach we think they're going to have next year. If McCarthy's coaching, I don't think they're 2-8, I don't think that they are. If they had a DC who was better than, this stiff who was finally shown the door, I don't think they're 2-9. I just don't. Not saying they're 7-2. I'm not saying they're going to the playoffs. This team's talent is at least a little better than I thought. That's all I'm saying.
But I don't know where you're saying that based off
because they compete every week. A lot of bad teams don't.
Congratulations. I think yesterday was more about the Lions than it was about the Giants. Now, I'm not trying to take away from the Giants, but I don't think the Lions are as good as I thought that they were.
Well, they're definitely not.
Coming off a loss, I thought the Lions were at home. I thought the Lions were going to pace the Giants, and they clearly did not. And they're lucky, obviously, to win that football game. But is their talent the worst in the league? No, but is it middle of the pack? I don't even think it's middle of the pack. And if it is, then there's no reason that they should be 2-10. So the record is what it is. You can't just say, well, outside of the record. A lot of the reason why the defense sucks is because of the players they have, not just the defensive scheme. I don't think this is all on the defensive coordinator, just like it wasn't all on the head coach. They fired the head coach. Now they fired the D coordinator. We're going to see what's going to happen. I'll save you the suspense. They're going to lose more football games because that's what the New York Giants have done, lose more football games. So you could say that it's not as bad as it once was, which I agree with, but it's nowhere near good enough in year 4 of a regime. Find me the guys who have been here for 4 years or been anywhere for 4 years, the general managers, that have a record that 2-10 back-to-back years, first team out in year 3 and 4. That's unacceptably bad. Unacceptable. They've gotten worse. Dave Gettleman, the best players were here by Gettleman. And the best year that they had was the first year. So I'm not disagreeing that it's better than what the record says and better than what it was where they could not move the football.
They couldn't move it. But they couldn't get a first down if you spotted them 8 yards.
But defensively, they were holding themselves in games too. So, the Giants lost a bunch of close games last year. So,
not like this. And not against
it's
good
just different.
teams.
It's different because they're scoring more points, so it feels different.
Well, true. Think about the two issues that have really plagued this team outside of losing, for the better part of a decade. The offense was not modern. It was a pop gun offense, and the O-line was just non-functional. Giants O-line suddenly looks okay. Now, again, a lot of that's Andrew Thomas, who was not drafted by Joe Schoen. And by no means am I stumping here for Joe Schoen to get back. I'm just trying to, because I'm not doing an hour on a defensive coordinator who should have been gone a month ago. I mean, who wants to hear that? So to me, I look macro. I kind of take that aerial snapshot, and I say, okay, if I own the Giants, would I move on from Schoen? I would. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. I've said that for months now. So I guess in a lot of ways, it's more about maybe the future being a little more bright with the right hires and with a tweak here and a tweak there. Like, if there's one thing that we know bad, inept football. Now, this has been stunningly nuts how they flush these leads away. Bad and inept, not to the extent that we've seen.
BT and Sal, the fan, our friends at Town Fair Tire, remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Matt starts us off in Westchester. What's up, Matty?
Hey, Matt.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Good. I was just calling because, BT, I totally agree with you, and I think the Giants are a lot more talented than people give them credit for. If you take those 5 blown leads, the Giants are 7-5. I think it's totally a coaching thing, and not to mention, if Dart plays in the Chiefs game in the beginning of the year, that was a totally winnable game.
Well, Matt, hold on.
Their top receiver.
Matt, 1 second here. So you're not going to give them all 5. I mean, that is, they do not earn that benefit of the doubt.
No, yeah, I'm not saying that.
All right. Let's give them 40% of the stunning blown leads. That's 4 wins. I think they're going to still find a way to win probably 2 games down the stretch if the schedule softens, not the next one. And at that point, you're in the neighborhood of 7-ish wins. And again, they don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, and there needs to be wholesale changes. And we're almost there. Coach gone, DC gone, some players will be gone. Eventually, the GM will be gone. But, it's probably a little bit more promising than it's felt for most of the season. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think, not to mention, they've had the hardest record in football. I mean, with the rookie quarterback, and they're doing all this.
Matt, the 2-10. Second straight year. First team. I don't think you do. But I don't think you do. First team eliminated in the NFL for the second straight year. And you talk about the Chiefs game. Did Jackson Dart play against the Saints?
Yeah, he did.
And what happened?
Top receiver.
What happened?
Without his top receiver.
Oh, okay, without his top receiver. The top receiver has been here almost all year long. I mean, with Jackson Dart. So they lost to the Saints, who are a god-awful football team.
Jackson Dart played 1 quarter with Malik Neighbors.
Okay, and so how have the Giants been able to score all these points then without their great receiver?
They're doing it with Isaiah Hodgins, and all I'm saying is
Hodgins just got here, Matt.
I'm happy for Hodgins, by the way. That's a good story.
They've been scoring points all over the place without their top receiver and without their running back.
Pardon me, Sal. Matt, offense is not the issue. It's not the issue. There's issues. Now, this kind of goes in, and thank you for the call there, Matt. This kind of ties into what I'm saying, where you get Neighbors back next year, you get Scadaboo back, and there's still a lot of things to do. You got to settle on a coach.
50 points?
No, but you don't have to if the defense actually does their job a little bit.
Scadaboo and Neighbors don't play defense. So even with Dart, Scadaboo, Neighbors back, how many points are they going to score against Lions? I mean, maybe they do score 40, and maybe that's what it's going to take to win. But all we heard all year long, prior to the start of the season, certainly, and even at the beginning of the year, was their defense and how we talked about it. I thought they were going to be good, too.
I thought it would be the best part of the team.
Okay, so
we all did.
So then I don't want to hear about the quarterback or the wide receiver or the running back. All those blown leads are on the defense. And it's not the coach. The coach is now gone, and we'll see what happens. It's the players. It's the whole thing. And I guess really it comes down to, do you want Shane back or not? Because if you think that they're talented enough to justify him coming back for year 5.
No, I don't want him back.
I'm not even saying you. That. I'm saying just in general.
Yep.
Like, if somebody's going to say, well, they're more talented than we thought. Okay, so do you want to ride with Joe Schoen? For me, I don't. We'll see what happens with the coaches or who comes in next year, and if they can make the most of what's here. I don't think this is the worst talent in the NFL.
No, it's not. I mean, that's the point. Think about this. Who knows what would have happened if Jameis would have started against the Commanders or, against the Cowboys, or if Bowen did a better job with all these leads. I don't know. It's a guessing game that's not even worth playing at this point. But we all thought, because we didn't know when, to think about the conversations going into the year. When are we going to see Jackson Dart? Is it going to be week 10 against the Bears? Is it going to be the Saints game? Like, we all had, that was the conversation. So nobody really thought the Giants, we didn't even know Scadaboo. We didn't even really know anything about Cam Scadaboo. And the O-line was still a train wreck until they showed that they weren't. So it was about, when is Dart going to play, right? So that was the focus. That, understandably, that was the conversation. And to me, like I think everybody thought the Giants defense, including us, could carry the mail, get to the quarterback. Abdul Carter's going to be Burns is going to be great. Thibodeau's flashed a little bit more last year. Here we go. He got sexy in the middle. And it hasn't happened. But that doesn't mean that our thoughts and our assertions toward the defense were wrong. I think with better coaching, and obviously need another corner, I think this defense could be okay. And if the defense gets okay with the offense, that's where I think you'll see the Giants' talents not as weak as some people think.
Robin calling from Westchester. What's up, Robin?
Hello, Rob.
Hey, guys. I called last week. We had the same conversation, and I just wanted to jump in because I do agree with BT. I mean, I said this last week that the talent was there. If you look at the games they lost, starting with the Commander game, no kicker. They could not kick a field goal. So that loss is out the window. And subsequent games, VT, you said it. They've been in many of these games very competitive. Trust me, I shut the TV off when I can't watch anymore with those 20-3 scores. So they've been in the games, horrible losses. If you saw that field goal yesterday, the 59-yard field goal, it was hooking right, and then it took a left. I never saw anything. I said the fans must have been blowing fans.
I don't understand what that has to do with anything.
It has to do with this idea of like just making this wholesale change and calling this team trash. I mean, it's not trash. I feel like they're showing up, and I'm just trying to, I want to make that point.
Do you want to keep Joe Schoen or no?
Why not?
Oh, I'm asking you. I could give you a million reasons why not. We've done that for how many years here? So I'm asking you. Do you want to keep Joe Schoen or not?
I would say in the context of what's going on with the team, Mara is ill. He's battling an illness. The family is not.
I know, but we're not talking about right now. I'm talking about next year, Robin. We understand all that, and we're sensitive to that. I'm talking about, do you believe, let's simplify it. It's not that difficult. You're making it too difficult. Yeah. Do you believe Joe Schoen is the right guy to build this football team beyond this season?
I stand behind a lot of his.
So that's is that a yes? Is that a yes?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay, there you go.
We're not out here. I got you. We're not out here politically stumping, Rob. Good God,
it's just if you think they're talented, then you want to keep the general manager, and that's fine if you do. I vehemently disagree with that. I think he stinks. And I think their record is something that's impossible to ignore. 4-8 would be a bad record. 2-10 is embarrassing and abysmal. So that's where now the talent thing could be semantics a little bit. Are they more talented than their record? Probably, but I mean, it's not a coincidence their record's the same thing as it was a year ago. And they did fire the head coach, and the new head coach, the interim head coach, still losing football games. Still losing games in similar fashion, I might add. And it's not all, to me, on the defensive coordinator. It's also on the defensive players that they have.
I mean, I look at the Raiders. I look at the Titans. I look at the Jets to an extent, the Saints there. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what does it really mean? I mean, we're debating the merits of this team is not quite as bad as other teams. All I'm saying is, and this goes back to something I've said for a while, I think the Giants' job is going to actually be appealing this offseason from a head coach perspective. Now, you got to keep Dart healthy the rest of the year. We'll see when he comes back. We'll see how they run him. Get rid of those stupid runs where he's banging into bodies like he's a bowling ball with linebackers and safeties. Keep him upright. Change that. I think Kafka will. But at least the stabilization of the offensive line and at least a couple of things on defense. You get the right GM, because I am moving on from the GM. I've said that I'm certainly not going to change my opinion on Joe Schoen here when I've had it for well over a year. It is more desirable than some people think, and I think maybe, look at the Patriots this year. I don't know if you would see that kind of a jump. I don't think it's completely nuts to think that the Giants could take a big step next year. I really believe that.
But I think you could say that about a lot of teams.
Can't say it about the Titans right now. I can't say it about the Jets. No, but I'm just saying I can't say it about the Jets without a quarterback. I can't say it about the Browns unless you believe in Sanders, which I don't.
You named 3 teams.
I can't say that about the Raiders. Looks like the Raiders hired the wrong coach. Okay. Raiders stink.
Keep going.
But I'm naming. Hold on, Sal. I'm naming the worst teams.
Right.
And who am I leaving out that's really bad? Of all the bad teams, they're the one team that I think could take a big step.
All right, what's a big step? Playoffs next year?
I mean, periphery of wild card-ish.
But that's also not good enough.
I'm not saying it's good enough. That's a different conversation.
I think they could be a playoff team next year. The way the league is, it is meant for the Giants could have another top pick. They have their quarterback coming back, neighbors coming back healthy. I think they could be a playoff team next year. Let's not overinflate what the Giants are at 2-10. To me, like it's a non-starter. It's a second straight year. Of all the teams in the NFL, Joe Schoen in his third and fourth year as general manager of this team led this team to be the first team eliminated 2 years in a row.
Listen, that's where you drop the mic, and that's where any defense of the Giants. No, I'm saying that's where any defense of the Giants really sounds ludicrous. That's why I kind of throw the caveat. We've been watching football forever. And, there's been a lot more good Giant teams than Jets, but we know bad when we see bad. And the way they've lost these 5 games in the fourth quarter, all I'm saying is to get to that point, you're a little bit better than the record probably says. But as Parcells would always say, you are what the record says you are. 888-808-1019, BT and Sal on the Fans.